Hello, my nerdy friends, and welcome once again to a fresh take. We got a real fun episode and a special guest that you're probably mostly all here to see. So, just a couple quick announcements to get us going. If you are new to the channel and you haven't liked and subscribed and all that kind of good stuff, please do so. It really helps us out. If you're catching this on the replay, still works. But if you're with us on the live chat and have a question or a comment, feel free to drop it in the comments. So a couple of big things happening with the channel. We are closing in on a partnership. I'll probably be able to announce it next week, which is going to give us a lot of resources and tools to share with you guys to help your collecting. And I'm really, really excited for that. And I'll also probably be able to announce a couple of big guests that we have coming up next week as well. Talking about next week, specific shows. On Tuesday, we're going to be talking collecting in the bear market. The market's turned for everybody. Comics is no exception. And we're going to talk about how to approach that. And then Thursday show, we're going to have a fan favorite, our curmudgeonly critic, in-house at large. Robert Kessler is going to return, and we're going to discuss how to approach the abundance of TV and film offerings and the state of the industry at large. We have done a soft launch of our Discord server, and we'll be opening that up to you folks soon as we continue to tweak. But tonight, as you see, I've got a second chair here. I've got a special guest, and we're here to talk Miss Marvel. Marvel and Disney Plus's really charming new show. So let's bring in our special guest. Say hi, Stella.
Hello.
Let's get you in that chair. Welcome, Stella Friedman. Let's scoot you in. Get in here.
Okay,
all right.
There we go.
Trust me, they want to see you more than me. So Stella, we're gonna talk about Miss Marvel and the trailer. But first, I figured let's talk to you a little bit. Find out what you're about and some of the things that you're interested in the space, and also some things you're working on. So let's start with that. So you've, I think, seen a lot of the different superhero films and read some comics and seen the movies, etc. Talk about your sort of relationship to the sort of comic book content and comic books, if you have a favorite, whatever.
Mm-hmm. I really like comic books and Marvel movies, and I like The Last Witch, which is a comic book series that I really enjoyed.
Yeah, we read it together. It was an indie series by Boom Studios. It's a really great, it was a 5-issue arc. We're hoping it comes back. We really enjoyed it a lot. Boom Studios, for folks that don't know, I think pound for pound is probably the best indie publisher right now. They have a ton of great books, but yeah, we really liked The Last Witch.
Yeah, I really liked reading that. And I don't necessarily have a favorite comic book or comic book series, but I do really like reading comic books and just in general reading.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any favorite characters?
I really like Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel, and Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And you, in general, you're drawn to like fantasy stories, right? Are there other types of stories, books, movies, etc. you're really into?
There's a few. I really like Percy Jackson, Harry Potter. I've read a series called The School for Good and Evil,
mm-hmm.
which I really enjoyed. And then my friend has been lending me some books and for a book series called Keeper of the Lost Cities.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been really enjoying it. I'm almost done with the second book. There's 8 books. Well, technically 9.
And your friend, who is it, Mia, who gave you the books to read?
Yes, Mia.
And Mia and you and I think another girl are working, actually writing your own fantasy story, right? Tell us about that.
It's a book series on a shared Google Doc where we can all go on. And
what's it called?
It's called The Flame of the Dragon.
Mm-hmm. And what's it about?
It's about a boy and his friends that are like teenagers, and the boy can turn into a dragon, but right now he doesn't really know how to control it. It's just when he has a strong emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And then his friend Angelina, she can control nature and talk to animals, which I find is a really cool power. And then their other friend Lee, he can like mind control and like make people say or do stuff just by looking at their like minds and yeah.
And how much of it? This is I'm always so amazed by this. How much of it have you written so far?
166 pages.
166 pages, and you write this with your friends. Like, do you guys agree on things? Like, how does the process work? I think it's really amazing.
Usually, we will talk about an idea or a chapter, and then we'll kind of all agree on an idea, and then we'll write it or type it, and then.
Do you split up chapters? Like, I'm gonna write this chapter, you write this chapter?
Yes. Like sometimes I'll be working on like chapter, let's say I'm working on chapter 20, and Mia will be working on chapter 21, and then our editor Ellie,
her editor,
yeah, she'll edit all the words and make it sound better, and she also drew the cover and thought of the name for the books. And
how many novels are you guys planning?
We're planning at least 5.
At least 5 novels. Okay. Well, you're off to a great start, it sounds like. I honestly don't think I've ever written 160 pages of anything in my life, so I'm impressed. Listen, we are here to talk Miss Marvel, so let's get at it, right?
Yeah.
So, big picture. So this will mostly be spoiler free, but to be honest, like there's not a lot to spoil off that episode, right? I didn't think there were a lot of like big like twists and turns. If you watch the trailer, you probably know what's going on there. So what big picture, what were your overall impressions?
I really liked it. I liked like the graphics and how the actors like played their roles. I thought it was really fun and funny.
I agree.
And it felt like everybody could watch it and enjoy it.
Yeah, it had a lot. I agree. It had a lot of broad appeal, right? Like I think Mom and I enjoyed watching it. You and Milk enjoyed watching it, and the humor was like real. It's like legit funny. Like it wasn't like, oh, we're supposed to laugh here. Like I really found myself laughing pretty considerably, and a lot of the dynamics, the relationships, I thought were really excellent. You talked a little bit about like the graphics. We'll talk a little bit more about that because I really thought that was like one of the more inventive things that I've seen Marvel do in quite some time, and I really thought had like a fresh energy to it and a lot of liveliness. Like what kind of things were they doing?
The town and the school, there was a lot of bright colors and lights. Then I felt like it was just kind of like popping out, especially in the like town. And
there's a sequence where they're riding their bikes throughout Jersey City is where it takes place, and because Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel, is sort of a really like kind of always lost in fantasy and daydreaming and stuff like that. You see as they're riding by on their bikes along the walls of the buildings of the city, like images start shifting and like popping off and kind of matching her imagination, right?
Yeah, I also saw it in school when she was planning different things.
Right.
We would see it on the chalkboard, all the pictures.
Yeah, it's a really a little. If you've seen Scott Pilgrim, it's a little bit of a nod to that. A little bit of a nod to the Spider-Verse. We were talking about that. It kind of reminded me of it had that kind of really impactful energy and like sort of young, kind of vibrant mix of animation, live action that felt really kind of multimedia refreshing, right?
Yeah, it felt like youthful, and like all the characters felt like they were like teenagers,
right?
And they were.
You loved watching teenagers. So you love watching middle school shows, teenager shows, right? High school shows. Those are your favorite, right? Yeah. So do you think that this was a good, like, did the high school feel like realistic to you? Yeah, a lot of the characters did. For me, you know, in the 80s and 90s growing up, there were a lot of high school movies and TV shows that was like very like typical setting. It was a very popular genre, and this felt like a kind of an updated take on that. It had a real sense of nostalgia to it, even though it felt fresh and young. And it sounds like you feel like they did a really good job capturing a school environment, right? What you liked her guidance counselor, right? What was his name?
Mr. Wilson.
Mr. Wilson. What'd you like about him?
I liked how he was like trying to understand, saying like, I know what you're going through, but I'm pretty sure he did not.
You think he didn't understand? Do you think in general adults don't understand what kids are going through?
Yeah, I don't think they.
You don't think they do?
Sometimes they do, but not always.
That's probably fair. So, let's talk about other things that really stood out. So, what did you think about one of the things that I love from the comics is that Kamala Khan has a real fantastic supporting cast. Like, I think that's one of the richest things in comics going right now, and I thought they did a nice job bringing that into the show. So, you want to talk about like her family, her friends, like?
I felt that her family, I felt it was very similar to Turning Red.
If you've seen the Disney movie Turning Red.
Yeah. So it feels like her dad felt a lot like the dad in Turning Red, like how he was like understanding and kind, but kind of didn't like, I don't know. I don't know the word I'm using.
Yeah, it's all right. So the sense I got is that he was a little bit of the warmer of the two parents, right? A little bit more of a connection from the kind of supportive and nurturing side, and the mom was a little bit had a little bit of a stricter style, right? But they both characters kind of related. But I thought like the family dynamics felt very real to me, right? They seemed like a family, and it was really great to see the characters in her family not just be caricatures, but be kind of what felt like really realized people, and also like very funny and very like heartfelt. The scene with the Hulk costumes was both hilarious, like was one of the funniest moments, and also kind of one of the heartbreaking moments when she kind of like rejects them, and but it just felt very true to like kind of teenage dynamics with their parents.
And I really like her friend Bruno.
Yeah.
I like how he makes all the gadgets and the costumes. And I like that he's really sweet and funny.
Yeah. Yeah, she's got a good group of friends.
Yeah. And her other friend, she was in the hallway at school, but we didn't see her much after that.
Yeah. One thing that reminded me a lot of is just, Peter Parker, Spider-Man as a kid was like my favorite. And there's a lot of obviously Kamala Khan Miss Marvel gets compared a lot with Carol Danvers Captain Marvel because that's who she looks up to, but there's not a ton of similarities in their stories, in my opinion. Really, there's more similarities in the stories of Peter Parker and Spider-Man and Kamala Khan and Miss Marvel, in that you sort of like the teenager who's a little kind of awkward and trying to find their way, strong connections with their family, the group of friends, they're trying to kind of, smart, but not totally fitting in, figuring it out. And like, that takes place in Queens. This takes place in Jersey City. So kind of New York centric, but without being in the heart of it. It felt very evocative of that. So that for me felt really comfortable. Yeah, you don't know Spider-Man that same way, right?
Yeah, I watched some of the movies, but I haven't really watched the ones that you probably have watched.
Right. I've been reading it for a long time. Yeah. So okay, so back to Kamala Khan. So what do you think? Where as of right now, where do you rank it among, or how do you see it compared to the other Disney Plus shows we've gotten so far? All the movies, all the Marvel content in general. And what are some of your thoughts moving forward? Like, where do you think we're going?
I really am enjoying it so far, and it's pretty high on my list of Marvel shows. And it feels like, especially with all of the Marvel shows we've been getting, it feels like definitely one of the top ones.
Yeah, I think it's, in my opinion, at least through one episode, I think it's the best of first episodes that Marvel's done in this sort of Disney Plus era. And honestly, if it keeps this sort of tone and pace, I think it goes right into the upper tier of like some of the movies we've seen. It's not as like grand and sprawling and epic. Like, it's not going to be, Endgame or like Infinity Wars or whatever. It's not that big of a film, but it can be right up there. And I'm telling you, for folks that might be on the fence, like, it really does give Spider-Verse vibes. Like, Into the Spider-Verse to me is as perfect of a superhero film as there is, and this film really does kind of evoke a very similar action. It's like vibrant and alive and funny and heartfelt. So what do you think about if you're making some predictions, what do you think's gonna happen with Kamala? She kind of gets her powers right at the end of the first episode.
Yeah, I'm gonna gonna guess that she's gonna use more of her powers to become a hero, and she's not gonna be known as like the weird kid. She's gonna be known as like this hero.
Oh, you think people will know who it is? You don't think it'll be a secret identity?
I think it could be a secret identity, but I feel like some people might know. Like how Peter Parker, like some people might know and some people might not.
Well, there's one scene you want to talk about which we didn't talk about, which I thought was so cool. Which
the emoji.
What? Oh yeah, no, there's a couple things, right? So the texting, it's the best presentation I've ever seen of texting. You know, like every time you see someone doing a text conversation, and it's just you just see the typing on screen. They
incorporate it into the background.
Yeah, into the scenery as they're experiencing it. So you literally see like neon lights in restaurants and shops are like displaying what they're texting back and forth.
The
emojis pop up and like reflections. It's really inventive visually. And then I was saying the Avengers convention.
Oh yeah, I really like the merch, like
the merchandising,
the merch.
Yeah,
and then I like the little scene where they had this little tribute to Black Widow and Iron Man.
Right, that's right. Because in the MCU, those are the two characters that got lost, and so there was like in memory of them, they have a tribute there. Right, what were some of the merch that was? There's like a Hulk smash things.
I could do this all day.
I could do this all day. Right, they did a lot of callbacks to the Steve Rogers musical from Hawkeye. Yeah, it's just my overall thing. Super fun, warm. It was great to see, you're a Pakistani Muslim family, well represented in a just in a loving, familial way, and telling a family structure story that most audiences aren't as familiar with. It's really lovely, but in a really like organic way. I thought her relationship to her older brother was cool, and genuinely funny and genuinely visually interesting. So I am let's see, hold on one second here. Good job, Jane. I'm glad we piqued your interest. I think you'll really enjoy it. All right. Well, I don't know. Is there anything else you wanted to add about Miss Marvel in this first episode?
Just a short thing I want to add.
Go.
I liked when the woman who was like on the stage, like also had the costume of Captain Marvel, and was like, "Wow, I thought my costume was cool," but that was really cool to see all of the magic, and then Miss Marvel Kamala Khan is like, "Watch out!" and then the hammer swings into her.
Yeah.
And then
wait, so but isn't I thought that woman who's in the Captain Marvel, isn't that the same person who passes her on the stairs at the high school?
I think so.
And she says like, "Oh, I really like your jacket, and I really like your something." I can't remember. And then it kind of like an awkward compliment, and then she just is necklace, right? So I think that they're setting up some dynamic where maybe that they're part of the same crew, that she joins their friend crew or something as it goes on. But yeah, it's just Marvel has, I think, really struggled with on these TV shows, either trying to do too much and stretch it out and then not give enough room and then rush at the end, or have a kind of very unstructured plot that feels a little too wandery. I really thought this was really focused. We know exactly what the story is. It's charming at every second, and I was very ready to get more right off the bat. So I'm looking forward to it.
I wanted there to be another episode.
Yeah, I wanted to be another episode. And I'll say, in general, there's a larger point going on here with the Marvel younger generation, and I'm not breaking any ground here, but like with Kate Bishop coming on in Hawkeye, with America Chavez in the Doctor Strange film, now with Kamala Khan, and a couple other pieces along the way, they're setting up for Young Avengers, they're setting up for the Champions, which is actually, I think, the more interesting of the team. And I'm sure we'll get Miles Morales, and I'm sure we'll get Sam Alexander, Nova, and all that kind of stuff. But it is very, I think that's probably the thing Marvel has done the best in the last this whatever phase we're in, phase 4, phase 5, whatever it is, the thing they've executed the best is introduce these young characters, and I think a lot of these franchises are in really good hands. So I'm excited for more.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
too.
All right. Anything else you want? I didn't want to. I'm just going through some notes. Did you anything you wanted to hit? Has been blah blah blah. Camera work, the dad texting, cartooning, lockers. Yeah, I don't know. I'm good. You good?
Yeah.
All right. Say goodbye to the people.
Goodbye, my nerdy friends.
Goodbye, my nerdy friends. All right. We'll see you next show. Bye.
Bye.